Yo, what's going on YouTube? This is your boy Ike bringing another video here today. I'm bringing you the Xbox Showcase. The PlayStation State of Play has come and gone. Summer Games Fest has come and gone. I'll have my post reactions to each showcase, to each one. My raw, uncut opinions on each showcase slash state of play, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, we're going to jump into that later next week. Starting on Monday, we're going to start with PlayStation, Summer Games Fest, and then Xbox, whatever they show off there. So I'll do it on the day that. Give it a week to digest for each one. So I'll do the post reactions for PlayStation on Monday, Summer Games Fest on Friday, and then Xbox on next Sunday. So, as you guys may have saw or not saw, for the Summer Games Fest one and that PlayStation, I had my opinions, and honestly, well, I'm gonna let you guys give you guys my opinions on which one what I grade out of 10 for each one. I'm not gonna give you my opinion so far because then that'll spoil the entirety of this video or the videos next week. Um, As for what I have for five, like I said, we're going to do the 5-5-5 split, where we have five announcements that for sure have to be a lock at this point. Five announcements that could be the closer, and five announcements that could be there but could not be there, and then we'll add five surprises that could be out of nowhere that I would hope that they would have, but no guarantees. Similar to the second one, but if we're gonna go over with the five locks first, and I think one of them has to be Gears of War E-Day. It's gonna be at the Direct, and um, it's gonna be there at the Direct at the end. So I think they're probably gonna have a small trailer for Gears of War. That's definitely gonna be a lock. And then my second lock, which you could take it how you want, but they weren't at Summer Games Fest. They weren't at the State of Play, and I think they are definitely going to be at the Xbox show because in recent years they've had a huge presence with Xbox, with their collection, and then they had a remake of one of their old other games. And the game I'm talking about is Persona. They had Persona 3 Reloaded and the collection. And they also had Metaphor on their stage. I think they're not going to have not one, but two announcements, maybe three if we're lucky. What is the third? Well, you'll hear about it in the next section. But the one that I think that could be is pretty much a lock based on all the rumors we've heard is Persona 4 Revival. I think it's a lock at this point. It's just a matter of the other two announcements that are kind of on the fence, but we'll get into those in a later video. I've been wanting Persona 4 Revival ever since I started playing Persona 4 Golden, and I was like, I can't imagine. Can you imagine what it would look like re-released? Now, on Kick, I'm going to be playing through all the Personas leading up to Revival and P6. So we're going to go for Golden, Portable, Reloaded, and Royal. Persona 5 Royal, which is coming into Game Pass tomorrow. So, will I play for Portable? I doubt it, but like we'll have it. I'll have the discussion with my mod team. Um, if we're gonna go through Portable or if we're just gonna go through Reloaded, we'll play it by ear. Um, but anyway, moving on to the third lock. Unfortunately for this video, I think it's gonna be um, not unfortunately, but I think Call of Duty has to be a lock at this point because even though they showed off their trailer um, for Modern Warfare 4, they did say that they were going to have some type of announcement on June 7th. Um, so it leads me to believe that they're going to be there in some shape or form. I think it's just for DMZ, but I could be wrong. But that's my third lock of the show. My fourth one, I would now I could be completely dead wrong on any of these. Keep that in mind. Take this all with a small pinch of salt. Um, my fourth lock, I feel like that we haven't heard from in a while. I feel like could be a lock because it wasn't at Summer Games Fest or the PlayStation event. Obviously, would be um, Fable, considering we're not gonna hear. It was already at the developer direct. We probably won't see it direct next year because it's coming out early next year. So I think Fable will have a presence, maybe a small trailer, and then maybe we'll get a release date probably either here or we'll probably get it at Game Awards. Game announcement on that. Um, I think another lock, which could be underrated for my fourth one, would be if we hear something about Game Pass, like stuff that's gonna hit Game Pass slash back compat. We did hear that they're gonna be launching up back compat again, but what capacity? I don't know. So back compat slash Game Pass announcements, like games that are coming to Game Pass, obviously that could be in the back compat system, like um, and so on and so forth. And then my fifth lock would be trying to think of something. We know Halo is not going to be there. Project Helix isn't going to be there. So those two are out. There was a leak that Halo will not be at the showcase, and then we also know Project Helix will not be at the showcase because Campaign Evolved comes out in July. Helix, we won't hear from it at all, which is a shame. But um, as far as what my other lock could be, I'm trying to think of some Xbox exclusives. I've been out of the gates for a while with all the platforms, so that's why I'm like kind of hesitant with some of these. I think it's time for Spyro 4. I know it's a bit of a hot take, but like we didn't hear anything from Toys for Bob last year or the year before. I think it's time for us to see Spyro 4. Now, is this going to be the year? Am I going to be dead wrong? Probably, but do I think it's the year for them to show us something on from Toys for Bob? I think it is, and I think once we know something about Spyro 4, what will their next project be after that? Could it be another Crash? Could it be maybe they work on Banjo, like they've been hinting at times? Who knows? But do we get glimpses of their next project on top of um, Spyro 4? I doubt it, but who knows? Five announcements that could be there that I think could be there from other third party publishers that could have a presence here. Um, we're gonna do it by a publisher basis on what after we do the five announcements that could be there that I'm not sure will be there. And we're gonna start with State of Decay 3. State of Decay 3 is a tricky one because we don't know anything outside like two trailers. We didn't get a release window. We didn't see what consoles it's coming to or any of that stuff. So State of Decay is a tricky one. And another one that's kind of tricky right now is Blade. I imagine we're going to see Blade nonetheless, but is it going to be is it going to tease if it's coming to Series X and S? Is we going to get a release date? I think we get a gameplay trailer, but nothing more than that. But it's a tricky situation with Blade, and then I'm also going to give you another game that could be there, but could also be a closer, which is Elder Scrolls 6. Um, do I think it has all the potential in the world to be a closer? Absolutely, but do I think it shows up still after all these years of waiting? I don't know. Between everything else that they could be releasing, like Fallout 3 Remastered, or that's why I have it in this slot. And that's another game I was going to mention for the fifth slot, um, which was Fallout 3 Remastered or Fallout New Vegas 2. Um, it could be one or the other, but which one do I think is more likely? I think it's Fallout 3 Remastered as far as that. and then we're gonna go from first party between first party and third party that I think makes the most sense to be at this show. We're gonna start off with the obvious ones that I like, and first we're gonna start with Bandai Namco. What could they show off that they usually show off at Xbox shows? I could see like maybe a Tales game, maybe, but which one could they show off? Could the top three to me were the two that got trademarked, which is Tales of the Abyss and Tales of Fantasia. Tales of Fantasia was more recent, given the timing, and then Tales of the Abyss was obviously trademarked 2 years ago. A little more out further down the pipeline, so I think that could be more ready to be shown. And then another game that I could see would be Xenoverse 3, considering that was already on Dragon Ball Day. We got a trailer of what the game is and when it's coming out, so I imagine it's either going to be a Tales game or it's going to be Dragon Ball Z related. Whether it's Kakarot 2 or it could be Xenoverse 3. But I think Xenoverse 3 is more likely. And sticking with trademarks, we're going to go on board with Sega. So, what announcements could I see maybe that they could announce, but maybe it's not all that likely. I could see Sonic Frontiers 2. It was at the Xbox. I could have sworn it was either at Summer Games Fest or the Xbox show last time it was revealed, but I could, since Alice slash Sega have a close relationship with Xbox, I could see Sonic Frontiers. Speaking of trademarks, we could see the trademark that was heavily rumored for Skies of Arcadia. Does that happen? I don't know. There's also other games like Jet Set Radio and all their other, and Crazy Taxi and all those other older games that they could possibly bring back from the dead. But the top three for me are Crazy Taxi, Jet Set Radio, and um, what was I gonna say? Skies of Arcadia. So moving away from Sega, but to another Japanese publisher, Square Enix. Now I know, at the Xbox, at the Summer Games Fest, they had Final Fantasy VII remake, um, remake, not remake, Final Fantasy VII Part 3, Revelance, or I can't remember the name of it, but if you haven't seen the clip on Kick, make sure you check it out if it already hasn't been posted. I was losing my voice, tearing up because my brothers would always play when they were kids. When they were younger. I was watching, so that brings memories back for me, and having the opportunity to finish remake, rebirth, revelance, and complete the whole trilogy. I want to do it 100% on the streaming platform that I'm on, and then hopefully I can create history just like my brothers did. And on to other games that Square could maybe have as a surprise. Other, I don't think they'll do Dragon Quest 12 yet. I think that's for Tokyo Game Show, and they just literally announced it a couple weeks ago. The re-release of Dragon Quest 12. What other announcements could they show off from a third-party publisher standpoint that could either be a closer or it could be a mid-card? Two closers I think that come to mind would be Final Fantasy IX, maybe. They've released multiple Final Fantasies or any just Square Enix games in general in one showcase of Xbox. Last year they did Final Fantasy 16 and 7 remake, so it is possible. But do I think they do two totally different ones since they just did Final Fantasy 7 at the Summer Games Fest? I don't know, but my hope is either Kingdom Hearts 4 or something Kingdom Hearts related, or um, um, Final Fantasy. The rumored, but even though it's on thin ice right now, I don't think Final Fantasy 9 will be there, but it is possible. A hope for me from Square would be Star Ocean, but that's a pipe dream at this point. Just similar to two other games, you guys know I always push for from Xbox. But if you know, you know. No later on that later. And then as far as like other third-party publishers, I don't think Konami will be there. I think for Capcom, they could probably port. The only thing I think they could port would be the Mega Man Legacy Collection from the Game Boy days, Game Boy Color days, from the Mega Man Blue and Mega Man Red. If you guys know who I'm talking about, let me know who in the comments. The Legacy Collection, I could see a dream scenario for me would be Trails of Cold Steel, but I doubt maybe Doc had trilogy or Xenosaga, but some ports, dream ports for me personally because I am an avid JRPG fan. But let me know what ports you would like to see on Xbox that aren't on the platform currently, or some. Now moving on to I don't like I said I don't think Konami will be there. Before we move on to the first party, let me know in the comments right now on what your dream announcement would be, which I'll mention towards the end of this video. What's your dream announcement that you could have done, your top 5 dream announcements that probably either could happen or would not happen that are Xbox owned, or just in general that Xbox could have that they don't have currently. Moving on to the now, I don't want to make this video too long, so we're probably just going to go on with the quote, what my top 5 closers could be, whether I mentioned them before or not. I think at number 5, I could see, number 5 and number 4, I could see either Elder Scrolls 6 could be a closer because we haven't heard it since towards the end of the Xbox One generation. And I think it's due time for a gameplay trailer for Elder Scrolls 6, but I think we still got maybe one more year left for that. And then number 4, I think the one that's more likely than that would probably be Blade. I know we got at least a trailer and a tease of the game. We got more than Elder Scrolls 6 on that. And then number 3, which I think is the biggest long shot of all of them, and that's Banjo. Because people have been asking for a Banjo game for a while, ever since it came backwards compatible on the Xbox 360. And then, as far as I can remember, and then a show closer for another show closer for me that could make a huge splash that no one's talking about. Chrono Trigger remake. I know. Why would it show up at an Xbox show? But when Chrono Trigger was originally made on the PS1, like, I mean, I know it's a bit of a stretch for a Chrono Trigger type of thing, but that's my dream announcement for Square that I feel like could be at the Xbox show, but I don't think it'll be a closer. And then my number 1 show closer that could be a semi first party, because this one is obviously a third party, but it's also Ansem or Skill of Square Enix, but it's been heavily requested, and that's Persona 6. Yes, as you guys may have known, may have seen on the internet, on Twitter, on social media, we've seen leaks about Persona 4 Revival coming out in February. Now, could we get Persona 6 in the same show? Now, if this other game that I forgot to mention in the 5th, and could be there, could not be there, would be Metaphor Definitive Edition. I still think it's a little ways away from Metaphor. I think maybe once we get Persona 6, what could they work on that maybe could be another thing in the pipeline, like whether it's Metaphor Definitive or Persona, another Persona remake or whatever the case may be. But right now, that's my top 5. Now, what are my top 5 dream announcements that I did not mention that I hope could be there that probably will not happen? Something Star Ocean would be 1. Then the other 2 slots will be Blue Dragon and Lost Odyssey. If you've known my channel for a long time, I love Blue Dragon, I love Lost Odyssey, and I love Star Ocean, especially the third one. But if I had to be more realistic on 2 announcements that could shake up the stratosphere with, like I said, I take Chrono Trigger as an honorable mention, but realistically, for the broader fan base, not myself, that would adore these show closers. I think like I said, Elder Scrolls 6 was a closer, but dream announcements for me, I could see. Let's see, Blue Dragon, Lost Odyssey, Star Ocean. Um, Maybe another port from another studio, like or remaster brought from the dead. Since we're talking about remakes, maybe Tales of the Abyss, Chrono Trigger, like I said earlier. Maybe bring back Everwild, since I'm not saying they could bring back Everwild. Everwild is more of a possibility with Rare than um, Perfect Dark, because that studio shut down completely and Everwild Studio is still around, still together. So I think it's a possibility. And then my fifth dream announcement from Platinum Games up until Summer Games Fest was Scalebound. Now, from Team Ninja, I know the when Phil was still in charge, there was talks between one of the publishers behind Scalebound that wanted to work on it again, talked it over with Phil. What does something come of it? We may never know. Same with Sakaguchi with Lost Odyssey and Blue Dragon, but we shall see. Let me know what some of your dream announcements could be on the Xbox ecosystem. The reason I left out games like Clockwork and those other games is they could be top of Q1 2027, like Clockwork, Blade, Halo. I know. Well, we all know Halo's not going to be there for unless it's just like a release date trailer for um, Halo Combat Campaign Evolved. We know Helix won't be there because Matt Booty already stated that we will not be getting any Helix news at the Xbox Showcase, like I said, which is a shame. But let me know any dream announcements, games wise you either watch me play on the channel or would like to see Xbox be a re-release. Personally, for me, if I had to stick to one from the Xbox ecosystem, it's probably Lost Odyssey or Blue Dragon. But everything else is like pipe dreams from third party studios and stuff like that. I want you to hear me rant or be a fanboy or whatever. But um, anyway, guys, let me know down in the comments down below what you think is a lock for the showcase, what could be there but may not be there that's third party, and what it could be your dream show closer. And I'll see you guys in the next video. I'll see you for the post predictions. Right now, so far between the three Summer Games Fest, I will give you a hint. Summer Games Fest is winning right now in terms of like my pledge, what I'm pleased with the most between the three. I think even after the Xbox showcase, unless they show Persona 4 and Persona 6, it's gonna be Summer Games Fest, Xbox, then PlayStation. Let me know how it goes, how you think the Xbox showcase is going to go, and if you're coming after the showcase is over, let me know if it blew you away, knocked your socks off, it was okay, feels like they could have did better, or if it was completely terrible. But anyway, guys, I'll see you guys later. Have a good one. Peace out.